CM Punk is your new World Heavyweight Champion. Well, at least he was for exactly 5 minutes and 10 seconds until Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase and crushed Punk's dreams. Yeah, karma's real, but there's so much more to this story than meets the eye. What you're about to discover will completely change how you view this shocking moment at SummerSlam 2025. I've uncovered 11 strategic reasons why WWE orchestrated this seemingly cruel twist, and some of these revelations might surprise even the most dedicated wrestling fans. Before we dive deep, drop a comment below. Were you genuinely shocked by Seth's cash-in, or did you see it coming? I'm pinning the most interesting theory to the top. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook. Now, let's uncover the real conspiracy behind Punk's heartbreaking loss. Here's something most fans missed while focusing on Punk's devastation. This entire scenario was actually designed to elevate someone completely different. Gunther is no longer World Heavyweight Champion, but here's why things aren't so bad for fans of the ring general. When you consider he's already held a world title twice in 1 year, there's absolutely no reason to think he's stepping out of the world title picture. Punk's criminally short reign suggests WWE orchestrated this entire situation to give Punk another notch on his belt, while strategically leaving the door wide open for Gunther to chase the world title again. Whether he does this as a heel or babyface remains to be seen. Although the idea of a babyface Gunther is admittedly hard to swallow, this apparent setback creates another golden opportunity for Gunther to win one of WWE's top prizes and become a 3-time world champion. But Gunther's future isn't the only long-term strategy at play here. The psychology behind this decision runs much deeper. What if I told you that Punk losing the title in 5 minutes was actually more valuable than him holding it for 5 months? As much as the wrestling industry has evolved, one fundamental truth remains. There's more money in the chase than there is in the victory. Although CM Punk's reign seems criminally short, it's not the first time a wrestler's won a world title only to be shown the door by a Money in the Bank briefcase holder. This trope will likely be repeated as long as WWE continues the Money in the Bank gimmick. Here's the brilliant part. Fans have watched CM Punk spend over a year and a half desperately trying to win a world title. Tonight he achieved his goal, only to have his arch-rival steal it from right under him. The emotional investment is now at an all-time high. Let's not forget that Punk was directly involved in Drew McIntyre losing the World Heavyweight Championship in record time at WrestleMania 40. They almost share the same title reign length, with Drew holding it for only a couple of seconds longer. WWE believes this is a proven formula for a money-making feud. Do you think WWE's chase is better than the catch philosophy still works in 2025? Or are fans getting tired of this pattern? Let me know your honest thoughts. This psychological manipulation extends beyond just Punk's story. It's reshaping Raw's entire power structure. While everyone's focused on Punk's heartbreak, WWE just created their most despicable heel in years. Seth Rollins has dominated Raw for years, but now that he's heel again, having him steal CM Punk's hard-won and well-deserved world title victory cements him as Raw's undisputed #1 villain. Rollins' reputation as a master schemer has reached unprecedented heights this year, starting with his alliance with Paul Heyman and continuing with his recruitment of Bronson Reed and Braun Breakker. Add an undeserved Money in the Bank win and a sketchy cash-in, and you have all the ingredients needed to have fans emptying their wallets to see Rollins get his comeuppance. The heat is nuclear. However, WWE may have overreached here, potentially angering fans so much that Rollins develops go-away heat, where fans are so worked that Punk's reign ended in minutes that they tune out of WWE programming entirely. But with the NFL returning in a few weeks, it'll be fascinating to see if WWE struck gold or shot itself in the foot. Speaking of strategic alliances, here's the power play that's been hiding in plain sight. This wasn't just about Punk versus Rollins. Punk's devastatingly short reign reflects just how powerful Paul Heyman's group has become. While Seth Rollins was the man who cut Punk's title reign short, Rollins' muscle, Braun Breakker and Bronson Reed have played integral roles in every step of Seth's journey to the top. While Breakker and Reed haven't had much to do other than serve as Rollins' enforcers, this could change dramatically thanks to a potential run with the tag team titles or a situation where the two serve as a gauntlet for would-be challengers to overcome before getting a shot at the championship. Names like LA Knight and Jey Uso immediately come to mind. One thing's absolutely certain, WWE really emphasized the idea that Paul Heyman was the mastermind behind this entire operation. Wade Barrett couldn't stop singing Paul Heyman's praises as the true architect behind this scheme on commentary. Having Paul Heyman by his side has really paid off, making him one of the most lucrative managers to ever stand beside a wrestler. Rate Paul Heyman's influence on a scale of 1 to 10. Is he the greatest wrestling mind of this generation? Drop your rating and reasoning below, but here's where the story takes an ironic twist that most fans haven't considered. CM Punk's situation may seem tragic to his fans, but there's a delicious irony that makes this story even more compelling. Consider this crucial detail. CM Punk is no stranger to Money in the Bank cash-ins. He successfully cashed in the briefcase twice in a row during his original WWE run. The first time was against Edge, while the second was against Jeff Hardy, a cash-in that led to Punk turning heel and becoming one of WWE's most memorable villains. Punk knows exactly how the briefcase works, which makes his current situation beautifully poetic. The hunter has become the hunted. This ironic twist could set things up perfectly for our next revelation about Punk's character direction, because sometimes what goes around really does come around. And speaking of character transformations, this devastating loss might trigger the most significant change in Punk's WWE career. The heel turn that's been years in the making. What if Punk's 5-minute reign wasn't the end of his story but the beginning of his most dangerous chapter? Punk's woefully short reign could finally pull the trigger on a Punk heel turn, something that's been discussed ever since his 2023 return to WWE. Fans still remember the tense standoff between Punk and Cody Rhodes before 2024's Royal Rumble, a confrontation that saw Punk acting distinctly heelish during his promo. While Punk has been a fan favorite throughout his current WWE run, he's also made it clear that he's not here to please the fans but to further his career. Seeing himself shortchanged by Rollins may lead to Punk realizing he's taken his eye off the ball by catering to the audience. If WWE does turn Punk heel, the Second City Saint can build instant heat by complaining about the cash-in despite the fact that he's done the exact same thing twice before. The hypocrisy would be absolutely perfect. Would you be excited or devastated to see CM Punk turn heel again? And more importantly, do you think he'd be justified after what happened? Let's debate this in the comments. This potential character shift ties directly into WWE's bigger picture for their premium events. Here's the behind-the-scenes truth about why WWE needed something absolutely massive for SummerSlam's first night. It shouldn't surprise anyone that WWE's writers were specifically instructed to create something huge for SummerSlam's inaugural first night, and that something was Seth's devastating cash-in. With this being the first year SummerSlam expanded to 2 nights, WWE desperately wanted to make fans wonder what other surprises were in store for Night 2, much like they did with this year's WrestleMania when Paul Heyman betrayed Roman Reigns and CM Punk to join Seth Rollins. There's also the possibility WWE realized that Night 1 wasn't the strongest of the 2 nights, and needed something absolutely shocking to make the 2-night concept seem worthwhile. Looking at Night 1 in its entirety, it's easy to see why WWE might have felt it needed a massive finish to a hit-and-miss show. WWE went to extraordinary lengths to ensure the dirt sheets didn't discover the truth about Seth Rollins' injury. Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful mentioned they even worked producers and medics on that angle. They did an incredible job covering their tracks. It demonstrates the extreme measures WWE takes to ensure these shocking surprises still deliver maximum impact. But beyond the spectacle, there's a more fundamental reason why this decision made perfect business sense. Here's the uncomfortable truth that explains everything. CM Punk is too big for the championship. One undeniable reason for Punk's short reign is that he simply doesn't need a world title to be relevant. Punk has reached that rare stage in his career where he can carry any program based on his reputation alone. Sure, it's nice to have a world title around your waist. Just ask the countless WWE superstars who would go to extreme lengths just to hold championship gold. But in Punk's case, he understands his value to WWE. He also knows exactly how the business works when it comes to keeping fans invested in storylines. Unless everything we've seen on television is completely fabricated, Punk has no problem doing what's best for business. This ranges from putting someone over in a match to building interest for a rematch, or in this case, dropping a world title to create massive interest in future rematches. Punk's star power transcends championships. Do you agree that some wrestlers are bigger than the belt? Or do you think every top star needs championship gold to stay relevant? This is a hot debate topic. This business philosophy connects directly to WWE's practical scheduling concerns. Here's the scheduling reality. that most fans don't consider when analyzing championship decisions. Another crucial reason for Punk's brief reign is that he isn't a full-time competitor in the traditional sense. While Punk works a respectable schedule, including regular TV appearances, WWE wants and needs a world champion who can work a completely regular schedule without restrictions. While there are occasional exceptions, John Cena's reign as WWE Undisputed Champion being one such example, because WWE likely believes Cena's farewell tour justifies a part-time player holding world title gold. WWE seems more committed than ever to having a full-time world champion available. Seth Rollins is that full-time world champion who can defend the title anytime he's asked, whether it's on television, at premium live events, or at the increasingly infrequent house shows. He can also appear in interviews as needed, giving fans and media instant access to Raw's world champion whenever required. This practical consideration feeds into the larger narrative web WWE is weaving. But here's where this story gets really interesting. Punk's loss just added rocket fuel to WWE's most compelling storyline. Punk's devastatingly short title reign adds another explosive layer to the Roman Reigns vs. CM Punk vs. Seth Rollins feud that's been building for months. As we mentioned, Punk could turn heel thanks to Seth Rollins destroying his championship dreams. Even if he doesn't, Punk now has an intensely personal incentive for wanting to get his hands on Rollins. And as far as he's concerned, Roman Reigns is just someone who's standing in his way. This could lead to a fascinating mini-feud between Punk and Reigns, as Rollins hopes they'll destroy each other, or fans wondering whether Punk and Roman might temporarily join forces to take out Rollins and his crew. Whatever happens, the slowly developing program between these three superstars has gained another compelling layer. It's obviously clear this feud is far from over. All signs point toward this culminating in a Hell in a Cell match that could be absolutely legendary. Who do you think should come out on top in this triple threat dynamic? Punk, Reigns, or Rollins? And what match type would be perfect to settle this? Give me your fantasy booking. All of this strategic planning leads to WWE's final gamble. Here's the million-dollar question. Did WWE actually fool anyone, or did they insult our intelligence? Did WWE successfully pull the proverbial wool over the WWE Universe's eyes by having Seth Rollins stage an injury and pretend he wouldn't be able to compete for an extended period? We're honestly doubtful that many fans were genuinely fooled into believing Seth was actually injured, but WWE apparently thinks they achieved their goal. WWE kept fans in the dark about the true nature of Rollins' injury, with fans hearing supposed stories about WWE's original plans for Seth's cash-in, and how his absence from SummerSlam led to them scrambling their creative plans. WWE's strategy was to keep fans completely in the dark, so that when Seth showed up at SummerSlam, they'd be shocked, and believe that Rollins is WWE's ultimate mastermind villain. The downside is that it's unlikely many fans were actually fooled. In WWE's case, this is a classic boy who cried wolf situation. Fans have been lied to so many times by WWE officials, including Nick Khan denying Pat McAfee couldn't make it to a WWE event, only for McAfee to show up, that they know not to trust WWE statements anymore. Wrestling companies, not limited to WWE, want to keep fans in the dark about surprise returns, shocking storylines, and match results. However, WWE does such a poor job trying to fool fans that it's inevitable more people will feel like WWE is insulting their intelligence. Be honest, did you actually believe Seth Rollins was injured, or did you see through WWE's deception? And do you think these fake injury angles help or hurt the product? This brings us to the final, most important question about this entire situation. Here's the harsh reality. Rollins' surprise cash-in was anything but surprising, and that's WWE's biggest problem. Rollins' surprise cash-in was anything but a surprise, and the way he executed it was something fans have witnessed far too many times before. A wrestler using the briefcase as a weapon, taking out an already weakened opponent, and covering them to become champion. It's become painfully formulaic. On paper, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the money in the bank concept. But when it becomes this predictable, when every cash-in follows the exact same pattern, it transforms from an exciting surprise into a tired trope that fans can see coming from miles away. The real tragedy isn't just that Punk lost the title in 5 minutes, it's that WWE's over-reliance on formulaic storytelling is making their biggest surprises feel routine. When fans can predict your shocking moments, you've lost the very thing that makes professional wrestling magical, the element of genuine surprise. What's your take on CM Punk's devastatingly short 5-minute and 10-second reign? Was this brilliant long-term storytelling or a creative mistake that hurt the product? Drop your honest opinion below. I want to hear from both sides of this debate. So what does all of this mean for CM Punk, for WWE, and for us as fans? Here's what we've uncovered. Punk's 5-minute reign wasn't a failure. It was a calculated sacrifice that served multiple strategic purposes. It positions Gunther for another championship run, elevates Seth Rollins to ultimate heel status, strengthens Paul Heyman's faction, and potentially sets up the most compelling heel turn in recent memory. But more importantly, it proves that in today's WWE, the story is bigger than any single championship reign. Punk's loss creates more compelling television than his victory ever could have. The chase, the heartbreak, the potential for revenge, these emotional investments are worth more than gold. Whether WWE struck creative gold or shot themselves in the foot remains to be seen. The NFL season is about to begin, ratings will be tested, and fan reactions will ultimately determine if this gamble paid off. Here's my final question for you. If you were booking WWE, would you have made the same decision? Or would you have let Punk hold the title longer? Give me your alternative booking in the comments. Everything we've covered about this shocking championship switch connects directly to the larger power struggles happening across WWE right now. Everything we've covered about this shocking championship switch connects directly to the larger power struggles happening across WWE right now. If you want to understand how these backstage politics are reshaping the entire company, check out my detailed breakdown of WWE's current faction wars and why they're more important than any single championship. That analysis reveals the real puppet masters pulling the strings behind every major decision, including this one. If this deep dive into WWE's strategic storytelling opened your eyes to the layers of complexity behind what seems like simple booking decisions, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. I break down the real reasons behind WWE's biggest moments every single day, and trust me, there's always more to the story than what you see on screen. Before you go, I'm genuinely curious. What other shocking WWE moments do you think were actually calculated business decisions? Drop your theories below. The most interesting conspiracy theory gets pinned to the top of the comments. Thanks for diving deep into the real story with me. I'll see you next time with more wrestling content that goes beyond the surface. Until then, keep questioning what you see, because in WWE, nothing is ever exactly what it seems.